Good morning. I'd like to welcome you all to Eliot Chapel. I'm Karen Gender, and I'm happy to serve as your liturgist this morning, and I am joined by Reverend Krista Taves, our own minister, who will present today's message. I am so pleased to welcome all of you to our worship this morning. Whether you are here on site or watching from home, we are united as one community. This is a liberal religious community of spiritual seekers. We welcome you in the fullness of your spirit. Whatever your age, race, ethnicity, income, gender expression, sexual orientation, or religious background, you are welcome. Our core values are freedom, reason, respect, and above all, love. If you are visiting for the first time, we offer you a special welcome. I hope that you feel warmly welcomed and that today's message speaks to you. If you're here in person, we invite you to fill out the guest form that you should have received in your way in, and both sides if you're here with children, so that we can stay in touch with you. If you are visiting online, let us know by emailing welcome@eliotchapel.org so we can personally welcome you to this beloved community. If you are here in person, please join us after the service for coffee through these doors and to your left into Adams Hall. And if you are new or newish, please take a blue cup and we will be sure to greet you. It is good to be together. We light our chalice this morning with these opening words by Beverly and David Bumbaugh. No, they hadn't seen you. I should say. Our church exists to proclaim the gospel that each human being is infinitely precious, that the meaning of our lives lies hidden in our interactions with each other. We wish to be a church where we encounter each other with wonder, appreciation, and expectation, where we call out of each other's strengths, wisdom, and compassion that we never knew we had.
Please rise as you do and bow your spirit for our opening hymn, number 1010, We Give Thanks.
I'd like to invite you all to join in the unison reading of our church covenant, which is printed in your order of service. As a free congregation, we promise to one another our mutual trust and support. To create beloved community, we promise to be kinder to each other than we have to be, to listen fully to each other with an open mind and heart, to speak responsibly and respectfully, to find ways to improve our church for all members and friends. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. So nice to see all of you. Our story today is called Barbecue by Sandra Cisneros. Your Barbie is the one with mean eyes and a ponytail, striped swimsuit, stilettos, sunglasses, and gold hoop earrings. My Barbie is the one with bubble hair, red swimsuit, stilettos, pearl earrings, and a wire stand. That's all we can afford, besides one extra outfitted piece. Yours has red flair, sophisticated A-line coat dress with a Jackie Kennedy pillbox hat, white gloves, handband, and heels included. Mine is solo in the spotlight. Evening elegance and black glitter strapless gown with a puffy skirt at the bottom like a mermaid tail. Formal length gloves, pink chiffon scarf, and mic included. From so much dressing and undressing, the black glitter has worn off. This and a dress invented from an old sock when we cut holes here and here and here and here. The cuff rolled over for the glamorous, fancy-free look of the off-the-shoulder look. Every time the same story. Your Barbie is roommates with my Barbie. My Barbie's boyfriend comes over, and your Barbie steals him, okay? Kiss, kiss, kiss. Then the two Barbies fight. He's mine. Oh, no, he's not. Only Ken's invisible, right? Because we don't have money for a boy doll when we would both rather ask for a new Barbie outfit next Christmas. We have to make do with your mean-eyed Barbie and my bubblehead Barbie and our one outfitted piece, not including the sock dress. Until next Sunday, when we are walking through the flea market on Maxwell Street, and there, lying on the street, next to some tool bits and platform shoes with the heels all squashed and a fluorescent green wicker wastebasket and aluminum foil and hubcaps and a pink shag rug and windshield wiper blades and dusty mason jars and a coffee can full of rusty nails, there were two Mattel boxes. One with the Career Girl ensemble. Snappy black and white bathing suit, 3/4 length sleeve jacket with thick pleat skirt, red sleeved shell, gloves, pumps, and matching hat included. The other was Sweet Dreams. Dreamy pink and white plaid nightgown and matching robe, trim slippers, hairbrush, and hand mirror included. How much? Oh, please, 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 please. Until they say, okay. On the outside, you and me are skipping and humming, but inside we're doing loop-de-loops and pirouetting until the next vendor stand, next to the boxed pies and the bright orange toilet brushes and rubber gloves and wrench sets and bouquets of feather flowers and glass racks and steel wool and Alvin and the Chipmunks records. There and there and there and there and there. Bendable legs. Barbie with her new page boy hairdo. Midge, Barbie's best friend. Ken, Barbie's boyfriend. Skipper, Barbie's little sister. Skipper's friends Scooter and Ricky. Alan, Ken's buddy. Francie, Barbie's modern cousin. Everybody today selling toys. All of them damaged with water and smelling of smoke because of a big toy warehouse that burned down yesterday. See there? The smoke is still rising and drifting across the Dan Ryan Expressway. And now, there is a big fire sale at Maxwell Street Flea Market, today only. So what if we don't get our new bendable legs Barbie and Midge, Ken, Skipper, Tootie and Todd, Scooter and Ricky, and Alan and Francie in nice clean boxes and had to buy them on Maxwell Street, all water-soaked and sooty? So what if our Barbies smell like smoke when you hold them up to your nose, even after wash and wash and wash and wash? And if the prettiest doll Barbie's modern cousin Francie with the real eyelashes, eyelash brush included, has a left foot that's melted a little. So, if you dress her in her new prom pinks, satin's wonder with matching gold coat, gold belt, clutch, hair bow included, so long as you don't lift her dress, right? Who's to know? And that's why this story is called Barbecue. And that is the end of the story. And how we're supposed to go from that into a prayer, I don't know. But we're going to try. Our prayer is called Beauty is Our Birthright by Reverend Rebecca Savage. So I would invite you in the spirit of prayer and meditation to perhaps make sure you're sitting in a way that's comfortable for you. Perhaps that means your feet on the floor, your arms in a comfortable position, or sit whatever it means for you to be comfortable and ready for a time of silence and meditation. And we can start with some breaths. In and out. In and out. In and out. Sometimes we awake in the morning with a heaviness in our chest. Sometimes we wake in the morning with the endless to-do list rattling through our thoughts. The nagging reminders of what was left undone yesterday. And the pangs of, I have to do it all again today, pinching at our insides. Sometimes we awake in the morning and we'd rather go back to sleep. We would rather escape under the covers, a rock, the bottom of the closet. And then, the first sliver of sunshine may dance across our face. Beautiful. And then, the wafting scent of a new day may glide over us. Beautiful. And then signs of life blossom around us to include inside of us. Beautiful. Beauty is our birthright. Just as we are born in love, through love, to love. Let us enter into a time of silence for the deepest prayers and meditations of our hearts. Let us speak the names of those that we would hold in prayer. In the name of love that pulses in the center of all that is, this we pray. Amen, and blessed be. Please remain seated for our meditative hymn, number 1053, How Could Anyone?
month at Eliot Chapel, we split our Sunday collection with another agency that supports our values. And this month's shared plate recipient is Home Sweet Home. Many of you from Eliot Chapel have helped with Room at the Inn program, in which Eliot Chapel hosted up to 10 homeless guests every Thursday night for 30 years. And I learned personally from Room at the Inn and people who worked there that for many years, families would get an apartment and then they would move in with no furniture or furnishings, and it was sort of like goodbye. But Room at the Inn, just like our world, has evolved. And they have evolved to be able to house people in one spot until they're able to move. But that is largely possible because of Home Sweet Home. After families find an apartment, they can shop for new and used furniture and furnishings in person in a large warehouse that they stock with gently used furniture and newer belongings. Home Sweet Home then delivers those choices to their new home. What dignity and joy this experience can give to a family just moving into an apartment. Let us be generous in helping this great organization, making Home Sweet Home a place to be. Dedication of the gifts written in your order of service. To the work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these our offerings. Thank you.
It is literally impossible to be a woman. You are so beautiful and so smart, and it kills me that you don't think you're good enough. Like we have to always be extraordinary, but somehow we're always doing it wrong. You have to be thin, but not too thin. And you can never say you want to be thin. You have to say you want to be healthy. But also you have to be thin. You have to have money, but you can't ask for money because that's crass. You have to be a boss, but you can't be mean. You have to lead, but you can't squash other people's ideas. You're supposed to love being a mother, but don't talk about your kids all the damn time. You have to be a career woman, but also always be looking out for other people. You have to answer for men's bad behavior, which is insane. But if you point that out, you're accused of complaining. You're supposed to stay pretty for men, but not so pretty you tempt them too much. Or that you threaten other women because you're supposed to be part of the sisterhood. But always stand out. And always be grateful. But never forget that the system is rigged. So find a way to acknowledge that, but also always be grateful. You have to never get old, never be rude, never show off, never be selfish, never fall down, never fail, never show fear, never get out of line. It's too hard. It's too contradictory, and nobody gives you a medal or says thank you. And it turns out, in fact, that not only are you doing everything wrong, but also everything is your fault. I'm just so tired of watching myself and every single other woman tie herself into knots so that people will like us. And if all of that is also true for a doll just representing women, then I don't even know.
Good morning. Full disclosure, I did see the Barbie movie, and when Reverend Krista asked me to do this, I said, I can do it. Also, full disclosure, that came from my wife, Kaylin. So. Tonight, I saw Barbie by Brendan Myers. I think people are going to be watching this movie, talking about it, finding inspiration in it, arguing about it, loving it, hating it, thinking about it, studying it, and in some way engaged by it for decades to come. Yes, it is a feminist film too. That much is obvious going in. The "it is literally impossible to be a woman" speech, which was just given, needed to be there, even if it's not an especially new message. Some variation of it has crossed my social media stream almost every day for many years. I get that this message needs to continue to be said until the people who need to get it finally get it. I love that all over this planet, millions and millions of girls are going to watch this film, thinking that they're in for a semi-escapist, feminist-themed family comedy film about nothing more consequential than a toy. But they're also going to get an introduction to several of the most important and influential ideas in existentialism and phenomenology. They're going to learn about the patriarchy and the social construction of identity. And they'll get a demonstration from Barbie, Ken, and Gloria of what speaking from the heart and from a place of pain can look like, and how it can be healing. I hope that a generation of boys watch this film and see how absolutely ridiculous Ken looks when he's running his Ken Kingdom. Or Kendom. I hope that in watching this film, they'll see there are ways to be a man that do not involve perpetuating the patriarchy, and it's up to us to find them. Incidentally, I was not the only Ken in the cinema that night, but all the others who I could see were there with their kids, and they looked like they were fulfilling a family duty and very uncomfortable doing it. But credit to them for showing up anyway, for their kids' sake, if not for their own. I'm glad I saw this film. I think I have work to do now. Let us enter into a moment of silent reflection.
Barbie was controversial the first day she appeared on the shelves in 1959. She was controversial because she was the first adult doll in our time, at least in the Western world. In 1959, dolls were always babies meant to help girls practice how to be mothers, which was considered their destiny. Not only wasn't Barbie a baby, she also wasn't a mother. She was a full-on, single, unmarried woman meant to have fun. What in the world would this teach young girls? She also had a mature woman's body, which meant she had breasts. In 1959, when sex was rarely talked about, when husbands and wives on TV and in the movies had to sleep in twin beds, so there was no suggestion of sex. And when many girls didn't know what periods were until they got one, and getting your first bra was like a hush-hush secret and totally embarrassing. A doll with boobs? That was very risque. This past week, I went on Facebook and asked how many of you had Barbie when you grew up, and some of you shared that you weren't allowed to have Barbie because of her mature body. Your mothers thought it was too much. Other parents rejected Barbie because of her shape. She was super thin with a long neck, a tiny waist, these bulbous hips, and then long, skinny legs. Did you know that if Barbie was a real woman, she would fall over? From 1959 to now, and especially when second-wave feminism erupted in the late 50s and 60s, people have been saying that Barbie promotes a body shape that is impossible. How many of us have tried to get that body, dieting at super young ages, and sometimes our whole lives? How many of us have shame about our bodies? Some of you shared that you did not give your daughters Barbies because you wanted to protect them from that shame. But many of us did grow up with Barbies. Some of you are playing with Barbies right now. Some of us never stopped playing with our Barbies. We may have the Barbie dream house, the Corvette, the fashion stage, the motorboat, on and on and on. We may have cases and cases of Barbie clothing and shoes. We may have Kens. We now have different kinds of Barbies of many skin shades, disabled Barbies, Barbies with different body shapes and sizes, Barbies with many different careers. We can play with our friends or by ourselves, and we make up stories, trying to figure out what adult life might be like. Might I just say, you never stop wondering what adult life might be like. My first Barbie was stereotypical Barbie. White, tall, blonde, skinny, but so was I. So I could see myself in her, which definitely was a sign of my privilege. I saved my allowance, and I bought a brunette Barbie, Hawaiian Barbie, and at last, a Ken. I was big into Barbie role-playing, shaped by my wonderings about who I was and what kind of woman I was meant to be. And I had two friends who also played Barbie, and we would have these Mondo weekend stayovers, creating dramatic sagas and soap operas that lasted for days. Put them in the freezer so that they could travel through time. We made homemade parachutes and threw our Barbies out the window. We buried them in the couch and waited for them to turn into vampires. We covered them in mud and then go on wilderness adventures. Our Barbies went out with the Kens, then bragged to the other Barbies that their Ken was the best Ken, and even fought with other Barbies and stole their Kens. And some of our Barbies only kind of liked their Kens and would go on secret dates with the other Barbies. And then the Kens got jealous, so we put the Kens in a box under the bed. And we locked the doors so our moms couldn't come in because we were battling both shame and curiosity because our Barbies maybe also liked Barbies, or maybe they only liked Barbies, and we didn't even have words for what we were doing because it was the 1970s. And so then the Barbies just dated the Barbies. And 15 years later, I came out as queer. Thank you, Barbie. Now it seems clear that by virtue of the imaginations of millions of little girls, and sometimes little boys, and probably many trans kids, Barbie was pushed way beyond what Mattel ever intended for her. And I believe that has more to do with her staying power than all the stereotypical stuff Mattel has tried to cage her into. And here we are in 2023. This sanctuary is unusually full for an August Sunday and filled with pink because we are talking about the Barbie movie, which I promised to preach on before I saw the movie, just letting you know. And the movie is controversial, of course. Of course it's controversial. Why would anything change about Barbie? It was co-written by Generation Y Greta Gerwig, who grew up Unitarian Universalist, and her partner, Noah Baumbach. And the Barbie monologue that you heard today, it has become a legend. And men like Brendan Myers are thrilled because of its message, which as far as I can tell is that change is constant, nothing is perfect, patriarchy is awful, it imprisons everyone, and it contains the seeds of its own destruction. And that contemplating our mortality can change our lives so much that we can't go back. If you haven't seen the movie, and there's no judgment if you haven't, here's a brief recap. And yeah, spoiler alerts all over the place, okay? Just so you know, there will be no surprises if you go to see the Barbie movie after this sermon. Barbie Land is the same every single day. All the Barbies wake up happy, and they have happy, predictable days and happy, predictable lives. They think logically, they feel, and all of them are in positions of power. The Kens wait around all day for Barbie attention. One glance makes them happy and hopeful, and when she looks away, they get hungry again and unhappy and waiting and waiting and waiting. Every night is party night in Barbie Land, and that party always ends with girls' night. But one night, stereotypical Barbie, the blonde, white, super tall one, has this thought. What would it be like to die? And instantly, everything changes. She wakes up tired with messy hair. She gets hungry. She falls off her balcony. She feels anxious. She feels sad. She feels angry. She feels afraid. And horror of horrors, she gets cellulite and her feet flatten. And she runs to Weird Barbie. Weird Barbie is a Barbie who has been played too hard. We all know what Weird Barbie looks like, right? She has marker on her face. Her hair's been cut short and melted. And she will go into splits with no warning. Weird Barbie declares that something is wrong with the girl who played with stereotypical Barbie. Barbie has to go to the real world and find her and set things right. And then she can come back and everything will be as it always was. But that is not at all what happens. So Barbie and Ken go to the real world, and Ken experiences what being a man is like here. No one's waiting for Barbie's attention in the real world. People defer to him. His words count more than a woman's, even if he has no clue what he's talking about. And people just get out of his way, and he likes it. He gets all the books he can on patriarchy. And he goes back to Barbie Land, determined to create patriarchy in Barbie Land. Meanwhile, Barbie's having a very different experience. She thought women would have the same place in the real world as she did in Barbie Land, and she is wrong. She's ridiculed. She is harassed. She is even arrested. She feels fear, sadness, empathy, hope, sorrow. And she does find the mother and daughter who played with Barbie as Sasha grew up. The daughter is Sasha. Sasha even tried to get rid of Barbie, but Gloria, the mom, grabs it out of the box and takes it back with her. And then she is playing with this Barbie on her own, and she has drawn pictures of Barbie contemplating death, being anxious and depressed. And that's what happened to Barbie that night when she wondered what it would be like to die. Meanwhile, Mattel finds out that Barbie's in the real world and is determined to put her back into the box. Barbie, Gloria, and Sasha flee to Barbie Land and discover that the Kens have taken over. It's a men's party every night, and they have indoctrinated the Barbies into patriarchy. That didn't take long. And this is when Gloria offers the monologue that, see, the candle even went out. So this is when Gloria offers the monologue that you heard today. And then they use the monologue to deprogram all the Barbies. They whisk them away from their Kens. They speak the monologue to the Barbies, and then that knowledge changes them. And they come back into themselves. And then the Barbies destroy the patriarchy by making the Kens jealous. And all the Kens go to war against each other with all their beach toys, because that's all they have. And while the Kens are battling it out, the Barbies retake Barbie Land. And the Kens realize that patriarchy made them too small. They were only fighting because they didn't know who they were. And it's clear that they have to find their own identity, separate from Barbie and without hurting anyone, including themselves. And then Barbie makes a decision. Rather than go back to her perfect existence, where her feet never flatten, she never has cellulite, nothing ever changes, she chooses to go back to the real world with Gloria and Sasha, where things change every day and where she will get old and someday die. The end. So what do we do with this newest chapter of Barbie, once again transformed by someone's imagination, once again transformed by someone's questions, fears, convictions, and in this case, deep concern what is happening around us? It's not hard to see that this movie is responding to a modern backlash that is trying to put many people into a box. Transgender people, drag performers, non-binary people, heck, all queer people. Get in the box. Women, feminists of all genders, people of color, get in the box. Teachers, librarians, professors, writers, poets, journalists, get in the box. Little boys, little girls, children of all genders who just want to set their imaginations free, get in the box. And men, you who dare to step even a little out of line with patriarchy because somehow you figured out that patriarchy will make you and everyone you love too small. Men who dare to teach their sons to value patience, kindness, generosity, and a gentle spirit. Come on, get in the box. Just get back in the box. But we really can't get back in the box, can we? There is no golden age to return to, no perfect past. There is no box strong enough to withstand the pressure of that unstoppable force of life that lives and breathes and has its being in everything, including us. That force flows in all of us from the time we are born to the time we are die, and it makes everything it touches special, always changing, and mortal. In Unitarian Universalism, transformation is a core value. We call ourselves to adapt to the changing world, not fight it. Openness to change is fundamentally what it means to be faithful for us. We also celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. This is what it means to embrace an always evolving knowledge, truth, and wisdom. In Barbie land, it's speaking the truth of women's existence that brings the Barbies back into themselves. This is a theological, spiritual process for us. It is sometimes the closest we get to holiness. We also declare that every person has a right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness. We call this value equity. We don't always get it right. We actually often get it wrong. But just like a Barbie that can be peeled out of a faulty parachute and dressed in sequins and unbelievably high heels, we too are also transforming through loss into new life. And for us, this constant transformation is what God or spirit is. Not a thing, but a movement, an energy like the wind. Now, there are some things in the film that I'm not crazy about. And I'm going to tell you what those things are. Number one, they chose stereotypical Barbie as the star. A white, blonde, skinny woman. And that's pretty cool. And it's pretty cool that there is a world where Barbie's in charge. There are Barbies of color. There are Barbies of different sizes, shapes, and abilities. There's a transgender Barbie. The Barbies are on the Supreme Court and in every single profession. But all these Barbies support stereotypical Barbie in her journey. Once again, people like me see themselves at the center of the story. We need to not be in the center of the story anymore. It's done. The time for that is over. What really got under my skin, though, is that the Kens never apologize for trashing Barbie Land. They never apologize for the violence they do to the Barbies. Instead, Barbie says she is sorry for not noticing Ken and helps him to orient to a new way of being. I mean, what? That's like classic over-functioning, something we have been conditioned to do over and over and over. Now, I might not have had a problem with this if Ken recognized the harm he had done and made it right and asked for help. But how many of us women wait for apologies that never happen and promised actions that never materialized, right? We get to be fed up with that. And here I am projecting my own stuff, which is exactly what we've done for 64 years with Barbie, right? I wonder if the writers did that on purpose, making sure that the movie didn't package everything up perfectly just to keep us thinking, engaged, and maybe a little angry. So much of what we experience as humans, the joy, the love, the care, the surprises, the changes in us as we move closer to death, the sense of reverence in moments when we feel our connectedness to everything. These happen because nothing in the world is perfect. We live in constant brokenness. When Barbie cries out that the real world isn't what she thought it was, Ruth, the creator of Barbie, says, "It never is, but isn't that marvelous?" Isn't that marvelous? So today, I want us to go home to our imperfect lives, in our imperfect bodies, with our imperfect hearts and minds and spirits. Think of the tremendous changes that you have lived through. Some of them which gave us new life. They came with joy and hope. And some of them have been really hard, and they are still hard, and we fight against them, never winning until we actually accept them. So go home and play with your imperfect life. Play like you've never played before, taking risks, going into uncomfortable places, exploring what you could be, making mistakes, but always, always becoming larger in who you are. This is my prayer for you, for those you love, and for myself. Amen, and blessed be. Please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 1007, There's a River in My Soul. And come on, let's sing it like we mean it. All right? Beauty is before me, and beauty behind me. Above me and below me hovers the beautiful. In beauty it is begun, in beauty it is ended. Please be seated for one final musical gift. Ken. May you go in peace. Have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for being here.